said something interesting. You're playing off that because that business owner wants to protect the employees. And you said the other, the employees' paychecks are going to bounce. Now you've played into his emotion or her emotion, whoever it is. Right?
Oh, yeah. Like, and so you compromise the individual. Like, we see this all the time. We've all got those text messages that says your Amazon delivery is going to be delayed. Like, and it's coming from like xyz.com to like whatever it is, right? So there's what most people don't realize is that's a several $100 million a year business. And the companies that are set up to defraud individuals are set up better than most companies here in the US. They got customer support. We used to do a lot of work with helping companies be protected from ransomware, which is where they literally get extorted, right? And it was all because some human clicked on a link they weren't meant to click on. And it could have happened 6 months ago. Could have happened 3 months before the actual attack. And they just sit there and wait for the right moment. And they kind of extort you. And it's never fun. So it's from that type of psychology and science that I really was tired of the sales world and going, there's a lot of science to sales and conversations. There's a lot of science to how to create a company culture because Zappos did it and things like that. So why did every sales trainer I go and pay big bucks to go to their events never have a scientific method to validate that if you say this, you'll get this outcome? If you do this, you'll get this outcome. They're like, well, you can try this script. And it's just like, okay, great. And like, what should we be seeing from that? What should we be measuring from that? And now what our platform does is it allows you to upload your call recordings. And literally we can analyze your call recordings in about 5 minutes or less, sometimes as little as 15 seconds. And I can understand personality types. I can understand what was the emotion that your sales rep was talking from. And were they talking honestly or deceptively? And if
so how does it do that? Just out of curiosity.
So there's a whole lot of research out there to support linguistics and the words you use. So if you're the types of words people use when they're lying or they're being deceptive, they use a very specific pattern. And it's hard for humans to kind of read this if they're not seeing body language at times. And our system analyzes those words. It analyzes the spacing between the words. And it's got like over 20,000 different types of research papers to validate the science behind what we're doing, right? So now you can know, well, hold on, the sales rep was speaking inauthentically here because they were maybe started checking their phone or scrolling Facebook and they got distracted on the call. And as a result, that's where they started to lose the sale. But now we can dive deeper than that. We can start to understand, where trust was won on a call, where trust was lost on a call. Like if you're trying to be, I find it fascinating. The home services industry is full of, we're the trusted provider. So then why, when I analyze your phone call conversations from customer support to sales, your trust indicator and trust metrics are extremely low, so people don't trust you?
Well, I would argue that if you've got to say you're the most trusted, you're probably not the most trusted. I'm just saying.
I always say to people, I'm like, the people in business I watch out to is the ones who go, I have a lot of integrity and I always work from integrity. And they bring that up in the first conversation. I'm like, I walk out of that going, I'm about to get screwed.
Yep, for sure.
There's so much in a conversation that can be analyzed, but most of the time we don't know how to analyze it. We don't know how to communicate it. So one of the things I wanted to do is create this real-time feedback loop, particularly if you have like multiple sales conversations. I'll give you an example, right? There was a company we did some work for in our early days. We did a lot of research, and they have 30 sales conversations over 12 months. 30 conversations, all right? And they're selling multi-million-dollar deals, right? So a lot of conversations, a lot of parties involved, a lot of decision makers. One of the things is when we analyze the data, because of how they were structuring one of their conversations, they were delaying their sales cycle by 3 months. And I'll tell you why. They were getting the engineers and the technical people on the call, right? And they were going, okay, I'm going to introduce you to our engineering department and blah, 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 blah. And the engineers would do what engineers do and talk about how the electrical current would flow from this switch to this switch and the current ratios and the amperages and the wattages and the blah, 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 blah. And like they're talking to people who do not care at all about that minutia of detail. So they would get off the call going, this is a complete waste of time. And this is not what we're looking for. And as a result, it would take 3 months to bring that conversation back around to the possibility of closing a deal. And you might be like, well, Ben, I don't do that. I'm like, well, we also analyze personality. And we teach the principle of 4 different personality styles. And if you don't know what personality style you're talking to on the phone, you could be just talking too quickly to the individual. And as a result, if I'm talking too quickly, I'm therefore not connecting to the person who wants me to speak more slowly. If I'm not talking and going, hey, Corey, how was your weekend? What'd you get up to on the weekend? If I don't build some rapport with you, you may feel like I've insulted you. You may feel I can't trust Corey yet because he never asked me about the weather. All right. And the thing is, like, there's these little things that each personality type requires to build on. So now, one of the biggest mistakes we see a lot of sales reps making is they communicate in their style, which is one of 4, and not in the style of who they're communicating with, which means sometimes you got to speak faster. Sometimes you got to speak slower. Sometimes you got to speak in more detail because, hey, Corey, would you like to know the exact details of how I make this happen? Or you don't need that information right now. So now that simple statement is I gave you an option. So here's a little script. I'm going to give you one little hack right now you can use and implement your next sales call. So let's say you get hot leads, fresh hot leads. You've bought some leads who, whatever it is, however you got these leads coming in, right? When you call that lead, you ask them their names. You go, hey, Corey, just a quick question. This is Ben from wherever, like Thunder Down Under Garage Doors, right? That company doesn't exist. And if it does, I am totally sorry. I said that because I'm Australian. So the thing is, I would go, hey, Corey, just quick question. You clicked on our ad about the garage doors. And I'm just curious, did you find what you're looking for or are you still looking? And you literally shut up. You let them answer that question and you go, oh, I was clicking around because whatever, I clicked on a few ads and now I'm not sure what I clicked on or because we all know if you're buying leads, they could be getting 5 calls, 10 calls, whatever it is, right? So the thing is, they could have already bought because somebody just spoke to them 15 minutes before. So you're going to run through your entire sales pitch for somebody that like literally has bought but can't say no to you. And so my next question would be something along the lines of, so what's most important for you or what are you really looking to achieve right now?